Hello, welcome back to Non-synchronous online course. In previous two modules, you have learned about the integrated BIOS management and 5 pillars of biosecurity. From global perspective, the international rules and regulations are very important for a number of reasons. One of the reasons is to ensure safety, security and sustainability of the global community. For global biosecurity, the implementation of international treaties and regulations is essential. This module will focus on the biosecurity risks mitigation at international level. This topic is very broad, so what are you going to learn in this module? You will learn global biosecurity risks mitigation approaches under the international biosecurity frameworks. You will learn the important highlights of biological and toxin weapons convention, United Nations Security Council resolution 1540, WHO International Health Regulations, UN Convention of Biological Diversity, Cartagena Protocol, and World Health Organization's resolution WHA 5829. Okay, while working in a laboratory to mitigate biological risks, you can use different strategies such as elimination, substitution, engineering controls, administrative controls, and personal protective equipment. Your organization's biosecurity program is entirely based on 5 pillars of the biosecurity. From laboratory biosecurity and biosafety perspective, this is perfectly fine. Now, the important question is, why do we need international rules and regulations? Technically speaking, currently there are 197 countries, and each country is a part of the global ecosystem. In other words, countries depend on each other. There are 197 countries, but we are in the same boat because we are on the same planet, the life-supporting planet Earth. It is our duty to make sure that we are protecting each other. In a broader sense, we are living in a global village. Hence, from global biosecurity perspective, if something goes wrong in one country, it can have consequences in neighboring countries and beyond. We all are globally connected. Therefore, for the betterment of every country, international rules and regulations are essential. We are making advances in biological sciences and biotechnology. Innovations in biotechnology are making human life better. However, the biological risk increases as the advanced technologies can be misused. We need to protect humans, animals, plants, and water bodies from bad actors because biological weapons can be produced easily. Bad actors can select the potential biological agent or toxin and acquire it. Once acquired, biological agent or its toxin can be multiplied to make it enough. If required, bad actors can do modifications in selected biological agents' traits. And finally, the biological agent can be used as a bioweapon. Pathogenic microbes can be obtained from natural environment, soil, water, infected animals, plants, or humans. Pathogenic microbes available in diagnostic or research laboratories can be misused as biological weapons. In the laboratories, biological agents are always in their pure forms. Therefore, we have to protect biological materials from its misuse. However, it doesn't mean we should stop fundamental and applied research on biological agents because of the high risk. Research, development, and commercialization must go on to develop the products and services. The global biosecurity risks mitigation approaches also ensures that international rules and regulations will not hamper the research activities for peaceful purposes. While doing biosecurity risk mitigation at international level, care is taken to ensure that the international trade will not be affected and the weapons of mass destruction enabling technologies proliferation should not happen. For the biosecurity risk mitigation at international level, both formal and informal approaches are used for the global biosecurity risks mitigation. The formal approaches used for biosecurity risks mitigation serves as a vehicle for penalties. However, the informal approaches used for biosecurity risk mitigation does not serve as a vehicle for penalties. Once the international law or regulation is signed, the member states implement them through their respective national regulatory mechanisms. Biosecurity risks mitigation is done through national law systems in line with the international regulation. Biosecurity risk mitigation is also done through a joint law system. For instance, take the example of European Union system. International trade regulations, curbs, and sanctions also plays an important role in biosecurity risks mitigation. The international biosecurity mitigation conventions and treaties plays an important role. Some important conventions, regulations, and resolutions are listed here. Biological and Toxin Weapons Convention, 1975, United Nations Biosecurity Council Resolution 1540, WHO International Health Regulation, Convention of Biological Diversity, Cartagena Protocol, World Health Organization's Resolution WHA 58.29. All these international conventions are important in reducing the biological risks and promoting the global biosecurity. Biological and Toxin Weapons Convention, it's also called as BTWC 1975, entered into force in March 1975. This is the first multilateral treaty which plays an important role in banning a class of weapons. This convention mandates the elimination of existing biological weapons and prohibits development, stockpiling, production, or transfer of biological agents and toxins of types and quantities which have no justification for protective or peaceful use. In this map, you can see the global scenario about the Biological and Toxin Weapons Convention. This convention is ratified by 183 state parties. This United Nations Security Council Resolution 1514 is one of the international treaty. On 28 April 2004, United Nations Security Council adopted Resolution 1540. This resolution is intended to prohibit non-state actors from developing, acquiring, manufacturing, processing, transporting, transferring, or using nuclear, chemical, or biological weapons and their delivery system. United Nations can impose sanctions through Security Council authority, either directly or through its organizations. This resolution plays a role in reducing the threat of terrorist groups gaining access to weapons of mass destruction. This resolution went into force on 28 April 2004. WHO International Health Regulations, it's also called as IHR 2005. This is another international regulation. The main purpose of the international health regulations is to prevent, protect against, control, and provide a public health response to the international spread of disease. The ultimate aim is to keep the world informed about public health risks and events. This resolution is legally binding. Therefore, all countries must report events of international public health importance. This resolution is helpful in preventing the international spread of infectious diseases. The implementation of this resolution is coordinated by the World Health Organization. The UN Convention of Biological Diversity, this is another international convention, which is very important from biosecurity perspective. The United Nations Environmental Program explored the need for an international convention on biological diversity. The UN Convention on biological diversity is a multilateral treaty. In short, it is called as CBD. Its main focus is on genetically modified organisms and living modified organisms. The CBD has three main objectives. Objective number one is the conservation of biological diversity. The second objective is to ensure the sustainable use of biodiversity components. And the objective number three is to ensure the fair and equitable sharing of genetic resources. This convention entered into force on 29 December 1993. The United Nations Convention of Biological Diversity is relevant to global biosecurity because it is helpful in managing risks associated with biotechnology and living modified organisms. It is helpful in controlling, eradicating, or preventing the introduction of alien species. It is supportive in development and maintaining legislation and regulatory provisions for the protection of threatened species and population. The UN Cartagena Protocol, this is another international mechanism to boost the biosecurity. The UN Cartagena Protocol is an international treaty governing the transboundary movement of living modified organisms resulting from modern biotechnology. This Cartagena protocol is important to ensure the safe handling, transport, and use of living modified organisms. This protocol is helpful in reducing the risks to biodiversity and human health. Countries can use the precautionary principles, meaning the introduction of a new product or processes whose ultimate effects are disruptive or unknown should be resisted. This protocol allows states to ban import of genetically modified organisms or living modified organisms if the government officials determine there is not enough scientific evidence regarding the safety. Biosafety and biosecurity go hand in hand, hence laboratory biosecurity is important. World Health Organization's resolution WHA 58.29 is intended to strengthening of laboratory biological security. The text of this WHO's resolution WHA 58.29 states that the release of microbiological agents and toxins can have global consequences. The containment of biological agents and toxins in laboratories is essential to prevent outbreaks of emerging and re-emerging diseases. It also highlights the importance of integrating laboratory biosafety, including containment of microbiological agents and toxins in order to promote the global public health. Therefore, effective laboratory biosafety controls and guidelines for laboratory practice should be in place. WHO's resolution WHA 58.29 urges member states to review laboratory safety, because biosafety and biosecurity go hand in hand. Then this resolution urges member states to follow WHO guidance, implement national safety programs, enhance compliance with biosafety guidelines, cooperate with other member states to facilitate access to biosafety equipment and personal protective equipment, mobilize human and financial resources, and encourage development of biosafety training programs and competency standards. Okay, to summarize, I want to highlight some important points. Biological and Toxin Weapons Convention is playing an important role to prohibit the development, production, acquisition, and use of biological and toxin weapons. United Nations Security Council Resolution 1540 is important to prohibit non-state actors from developing, acquiring, manufacturing, processing, transporting, transferring, or using nuclear, chemical, or biological weapons and their delivery systems. WHO International Health regulations is important in preventing the international spread of infectious diseases. Bear in mind, all these treaties are legally binding to the parties. Convention of biological diversity is important for conservation of biological diversity, the sustainable use of its components, and the fair and equitable sharing of the genetic resources. Cartagena Protocol provides framework for using precautionary principles. for using and transporting living modified organisms and assessing risks. WHO's resolution WHA 58.29 calls for strengthening of laboratory biological security. We need to promote biosecurity because it is the foundation for the global health security and biological non-proliferation. All these international treaties are essential to address the global biosecurity risks. However, as a biological researcher or a stakeholder of the biotechnology industry, your role is equally important in keeping your organization, community, family, and country safe. Before I stop, I want to highlight that you should also know about the Australia group and Wassenaar arrangement. Australia group is an informal arrangement of 43 countries. This Australia group plays an important role in minimizing the risk of chemical and biological weapons proliferation. The Wassenaar arrangement is a multilateral export control regime. 41 countries are part of this Wassenaar arrangement. If you are interested to know more, you can read about it in the provided material. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.